name is Cynthia Gallardo, your leading legacy lawyer, and I am founder and CEO of Cynthia Gallardo Law. And in this case, we are at the Legacypreneur Podcast, where we talk about legacy. We talk about being an entrepreneur, about being an intrapreneur. And today I have a magnificent guest and friend, David Zuniga, who is a financial business strategist and president of Primus Solution Group. I know you're going to get so much out of this conversation. David has so many positive gems to share with us today. And of course, you know, our topic is legacy. So everything will be based on the nucleus being legacy. So David, as we get started here, first of all, welcome. I'm so excited to have you on board with us today.
Thank you so very much. Very much appreciative. Glad to be here. You have been doing an awesome job. I'm looking at everything you do, and I'm absolutely glad to be part of this Legacypreneur.
Oh, thank you so much, David. I appreciate that. And it's an honor and a privilege to have you here with me today. So I do want to get started. Just I know somewhat about you. Of course, we've been able to work together, but I want others to know. I want people to know out there what you can do from a legacy perspective. What exactly is it that you do?
What I do is I help individuals to create a legacy for themselves. One of the things that we always talk about in legacy is leaving something generationally, not just for the next generation, but for generation upon generation, right? I always tell people one of the biggest things that we look at is, who do you remember? What names do you hear? And if you hear those names, you have to kind of question and wonder, well, what about my family's name?
Right.
You know, what part of my family's name am I hearing down the road? Who was the person in my family? Was it your grandfather, great-grandfather? And then how much further does it go? And I've always said for myself and for individuals that I work with, I want your legacy to be generational. I want other people beyond just a few generations to know about you, what you have to offer your family, and how you help your family change the direction in which they were going, or enhance the direction in which they were going.
Oh, I love that, David. And I love how you say legacy, making it a generational change, right? Something positive, and not just something you carry through, but you elevate. And that's what it's about, helping people elevate what they have, right? So I do want to ask you this, and I do want to ask you this, David, because we talk a lot about legacy, and we know it could be a subjective term. So in this case, what does legacy mean to you?
In this case, for me, legacy, in my instance, mean to be able, not only for my immediate family, definitely my son, for him to be able to grow up and have things down the road, whatever it is that he chooses to do and how he chooses to do it, but also to be able to help my community, the community that I'm currently in, and the community of my people, the Garifunas, to be able to enhance what they're trying to do and how they're trying to build life home and abroad.
That's excellent, David. And thank you for sharing that. So we hear about your immediate impact with your family, but then also the extended to the community. And it's not just about financial things or assets, but it's about the principles that you have, the lessons learned that you carry on and carry through. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, David. Thank you so much for giving us your definition of legacy. And that kind of gives us a foundation, right? What we can work from. I always tell people you have to have a solid foundation, know where you're working from, so that you can understand the rest of the conversation. So now that we know that what legacy is, I'd like to learn more about you, because legacy is all about past, present, and then future as well, right? So share with us a little bit more about your past. What brought you to the point where you are now?
What's amazing it's amazing we're having this conversation, because a lot of times we don't take time to reflect.
Yes.
And when we do stop and take time to reflect and find out what actually brings us to that point of where we are, right? So some of the things they talk about every time, and as entrepreneurs and legacypreneurs, we always talk about your why. What gave you your why? And what's amazing, when I step back and I look back at my life, I see different things within my family, within the community. But in my immediate, I see stability from my father. I see where he did what he did, where he worked for years as a police officer, became the first Garifuna police chief in Belize. And that showed me stability, something that you work hard for, you keep going and you achieve it. With the women in the family, my grandmother, great-grandmother, my mom, they were entrepreneurs. They worked hard for every single thing that they wanted. They set their mind to it. They never deviated, and they went after it, and they achieved it. And within those things, I had various lessons to learn from the past to bring to the future.
Wow, that's fantastic. And I really appreciate the way you tie in what you've learned from especially like your father and even the women in your family, right? So that stability is key,
Yes,
and what carries you through to accomplish the things you are doing now, and also to help your community. And I'm so glad to hear you
absolutely.
already had entrepreneurs in your family, right? So you can learn from them, learn those lessons. That's great.
Yes,
I'm so excited to hear that you had legacypreneurs already in your family.
yes,
Fantastic. So
absolutely.
now that we know what led you to the point to today, right? So where are you today? Share
Mhm.
with us some of the things that you're doing as part of your legacy in the present.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Today, the things that I'm doing is that I've taken the knowledge that I've gained. My knowledge came from several different areas. I've been fortunate enough to be in the military, learning leadership. I've been a cancer researcher. So I've done things there where I learned a lot about cancer and how people survive, and just basically people themselves, community, how you're able to empathize with people and make sure they understand, educate, train, and be there for them as a whole in the community, because those are things that are real. It tears us apart. It tears family apart, not only emotionally, but financially. Those things end up tearing that family apart, or it hurts the family, or it basically depletes the family, right? So where I'm at now, I basically went into the financial arena and started learning that there were things that we can actually do, not necessarily to cure all, but to make things better. Make things better in the community, make things better in families, make things better individually or with business. So when they say sometimes that money cures all, not necessarily, it's how it's utilized. And one of the biggest things that we have to understand is, what is money? What do you do with it? What is finance? We always say everything that you're trying to do, everything that you're trying to achieve, legacypreneurs, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, there's one thing that you always need for you to be able to get going, believe it or not, it's money,
That's
right?
right.
So I've learned about funding. I've learned how to make sure people get the proper funding, make sure their business is structured properly, make sure them personally that they're set up so that if something happens to them, that legacy continues. Not only that, what happens if while we're on this journey, we do get sick, we do get cancer, we get diabetes, we get different things? How can we make sure that the journey doesn't stop? Because it doesn't stop in here, it continues. I see it with my mom every day. Even though my mom is older now, she's not doing all the things she used to do, she still have that drive, that spark. The minute she start talking about marketing something or selling something, she's ready to go, right? It's in you, so it doesn't go away, it's there at all times. So there are things that we have to do to make sure that we are sound, we can maintain those things, and we can drive on whenever it is that we choose to, and nobody can limit that.
Oh, I love that. And I love when you about your mom like that, all that excitement, that energy, that passion, that
Oh yeah.
spark, right? That's awesome, because one of my favorite words, David, is synergy. Synergy is the whole is greater than the individual parts. And I first
Oh,
came across that
absolutely.
book with Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. So just from
Right.
what you're telling me about your experience, there's synergy in your family, right? It's part of your legacy. And
Yes.
I really appreciate,
Yes.
love the way you're connecting the dots, all your past experience, that diversity of experience, you're connecting the dots and now using all that knowledge you already have up here to help individuals now. And soon we'll hear what you're doing for the future, right? And planning for the future. That's fantastic. So
Absolutely.
that I
Absolutely.
really like how you're doing that. And that's what I want individuals out there listening to know is the skill set, the lessons learned, that's part of the legacy. It doesn't have to be education per
It
se. It can
is.
be life
It is.
lessons that you've learned, and you utilize that to help other individuals and create that generational wealth, not necessarily just money,
Mhm.
but knowledge, right? Because we know that knowledge, life
Mhm.
experiences, they help build that power within that generation and that legacy. So I love what you just stated. It's fantastic, and especially how you had mentioned previously about just taking the time to reflect. So many people just live their life running, 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 but they don't stop for a moment
Right.
and reflect on that legacy. So I'm so glad you brought that up. because now we could reflect, or we can reflect on your past, your present, and now what are your thoughts for the future? What are your plans for your future legacy?
Oh my goodness, this is absolutely amazing, because one of the things that I did during my reflection was I thought about it was weird because it's almost like I had a conversation with my grandmother.
Okay.
And the biggest thing that I got from her, when just talking to her and knowing that she's here in spirit and asking different things, and one of the biggest things that I remember she taught me was, and it was real simple. She said, the journey is always there. How it takes you to get to the journey will always be there, but it's a decision you have to make. She said, think about it. If you're going on a long journey and the conversation is juicy, the conversation is great, by the time you get there, you're like, oh my God, we're already here. But if you're not having a conversation, you're not happy about what you're doing in life and everything, you're like, the journey isn't done yet. So the goal and objective is always to make sure that we have that energy, we're enjoying what we're doing, we're excited about what we're doing, and then we build from there. My goal and my objective is to make sure that my legacy is cemented. One of the greatest things I want to do is to basically create one of the largest marketing and distribution firms in the financial industry. But the way I want to do it is going to be so unique, because one of the biggest things that we have is just like in life itself. One of the greatest problem that we have in communities is everybody competing against each other.
Yes.
What happens if we take the strength of what we have, the strength of what each and every one of us have in the community, and put it together for that synergy? What do we create? That is the legacy that I want to create when it comes to the financial industry. I want to create a collaboration of individuals who can actually use their talents together to help people to gain their objectives for the financial future that they choose for their business or individual.
Wow, I love that. It's such an impact, that you're working with. And there's a phrase and a saying that I've heard many times is collaboration trumps competition. And that's exactly what you're stating.
Absolutely.
And I've never seen it to the extent that you're talking about it in the financial field. So I know you want to be the catalyst for that. I'm so excited that I can be part of this journey with you. Yes, that's fantastic.
Oh, yes.
And I really like what your grandma stated, as you mentioned about enjoying the journey. So that's like you. You're enjoying the journey as you take this collaboration within the financial field and the financial market and sharing it with other individuals. So that's fantastic. I think, to me, that's a gem or a takeaway that I'm going to personally take away from this conversation today. So thank you for sharing that. And I love collaboration. Like you said, collaboration equals synergy, synergy equals collaboration. That's what it comes down to. And I personally always give the example of, David, I know you're an intelligent, smart man. You can do so many things, power of one by yourself. You're unique. That word you used yourself, right? Unique. Together. Same with me. Yeah. I'm unique. I have so much to offer, but we come together and collaborate. Woof, that is so fantastic, right?
It's powerful, so that's
what,
right?
Yes, that is what legacy is about. So I'm so glad you brought that up, and it's amazing that you're working to share that with other individuals, so that they can continue to carry that energy forward. So thank you for sharing that with me today. I appreciate that. It really touches my heart to know that that's what you're endeavoring to do, and I know you'll do great things with that. So just in the conversations we've had, and each time I get to converse with you and talk to you, I learn so much more about your experiences, your life lessons that you're sharing with others. So including myself and my family. So thank you for that. So now that we know about your past, your present, and then what you're looking for from a legacy in the future, right? A future perspective.
Yes.
For those listening today, I want them to take away at least 3 gems that you can give them to really, from a legacypreneur, or creating their legacy, carrying it on, and an entrepreneur. What can they take away to really build upon that foundation?
Good question. 3 things. One of the things that most of us realized, and it's funny because one of my clients called me the other day, and this is so true, that COVID changed everything.
Yes.
Changed our thoughts, the way we look at things, the way we look at life, the way we address things. Everything has changed within that span of time because of because of that letter, because of that word, COVID, right? Changed everything. So one of the things one of the very first things I've realized from starting my journey to now, and it always came from my grandmother, and she always told me, to thyself be true, be absolutely true, right? And God helps us with this. We have to know that the compass that you're doing is good for others. It's to be able to help others, help the community, help the individual that you're working with, make sure that what you're doing is actually truly to help that family achieve their goal, whatever it is, whatever your job is, whatever it is that you're bringing to them. Make sure that when they leave you, they're a better person than when they first came into your life, or when they first was introduced to you, that they leave with something. Because the huge thing that you'll always remember is that the greatest knowledge is within the graveyards, because they didn't share the knowledge they had. So they left with it, right?
Yes.
We don't want that. I don't want the knowledge just to be here. I want to pass it on and impart it to others. The second thing that I learned in my journey is that work-life balance really don't exist. Just to be honest with you, if you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, venturepreneur, whatever you are, work-life balance don't exist, period. Yeah. And the quicker you learn that, the better life will be. If you think that, that entrepreneurial mind, that employee mindset has to go. You have to understand something. COVID taught us something. You need to be able to pivot, just like a dime. Put a dime on the ground and spin around. That's how quickly you have to be able to change with time.
That's right.
Because things change quickly. All right. The one other thing I would say, a huge gem that I learned was work smarter, harder. Work smarter, harder, and then keep it simple.
I love
Why
that.
do you want to work smarter, harder? Because most people work harder, not smarter. So if you're going to work smarter, harder, and you will achieve so much more. So those are 3 gems that I definitely got from everything that I've done, from the time I started venturing and selling mangoes with my grandmother, and bun and cheese and different things of that sort, from when I was back then with her, to selling clothes with my mom and all these various things, gold, different things, to now. Those are things that actually, the gems that I've actually taken from all those things.
Wow. Well, David, thank you, first of all, for sharing those with us. And I'm telling you, any legacypreneurs out there listening to this, these are truly gems that you can take away now and start implementing into your own life to be able to basically catapult forward, right? That's what you're helping individuals do, legacypreneurs do.
Absolutely.
So I just want to recap some of those because they really impacted me. And I'm going to share with you the one that impacted me the most. But I love how you said being a compass, right? Having the right compass, and being that, I always say a servant leader, right? Here's a heart, you lead.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you're doing.
Yes.
And I know just in talking to you and working with you, you really want the best. You have the best intentions for your clients, for those you work with.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate you highlighting that. And that is critical. If you do things for the right reason, the right motive, then they will go well at that point. So thank you for sharing that, the compass piece. And then the second one is part of that actually with the compass is we don't want to just keep all this information to ourselves. We want to share it.
You got to share it.
Yes. And that's why I love having this podcast, because we can share your life history, your lessons learned with other people as well as a legacypreneur. And then that second one you said about it was sharing the knowledge with others. We mentioned that. And then also, this is the one that captured my attention the most, because I always hear work smarter, not harder, but you're saying work smarter, harder. So you're putting the two together. And that I'm like, wow, that's powerful. I love that, David. Yes, work smarter, harder. So definitely for anyone listening out there, that's the key. Work smarter, harder. That's fantastic. And then, of course, we always want to leave a positive example, leave everything with a positive. And that resonates with something that I personally do as well. One of my a part of my creed is leave a net positive with everyone I come in contact with, right? So, so if you think about it this way, it's like a math equation, but no worries, David, we're not doing any math here. But if you have, let's say two positives, and 3 negatives, right? So what does that
Right.
leave you? That's right there, 5, right? So you want to give
Right.
more positives so you can leave a net positive at the end of the conversation, because we're all bombarded with so much negativity. It's our responsibility as a legacypreneur to give positive instead of negative. So everything you shared today
Absolutely.
is a positive, and that's what you're doing, David. Thank you
There
for
you
that.
go.
Appreciate that.
Not a
Thank you so
problem.
much.
Appreciate you. Totally appreciate you.
No problem. And I do want to ask you this, because I know after listening today, individuals, legacypreneurs will want to reach out to you. How can they contact you if they want to reach out to you?
Absolutely. They'll be able to contact me. Basically, you can reach me via email, which is psgstrategy@gmail.com. You can reach me. I'm easily available by phone. My number, I'm not scared to give it out. It's 678-457-8303. I am on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all those. You can find us as Primus Solution Group. We're right on there. And I'm also going to be giving an ebook. I'm writing an ebook, and I'm going to be giving little gems to individuals. So my ebook is going to be Hidden Wealth Secrets Made Easy. And the first series is going to be Your Own Bank. Just teaching people about money and how to be your own bank. That's going to be the absolute first series. But I'm going to have multiple series after that. So guys, just keep your eyes open. It's coming, and it's coming hard.
Great. And I love how you say that, hidden wealth secrets, keeping it simple, right? Because you think about
Yes.
you mentioned personally the KISS theory. We all learned it back in school. Keep it simple, student, is what I say. Keep it simple,
Right.
student. But we're all
Right.
lifelong learners, and you're helping these lifelong learners gain the knowledge that they need, right? From a financial
Right.
perspective. So this is fantastic. I can't wait till it comes out. I definitely want a copy of that when it comes out, just so you know, David. I want a copy. And the other thing I want people to know, to take away from this conversation, is there's so many entrepreneurs, legacypreneurs out there looking for funding, and they don't know where to go. Well, David is the person to go
Absolutely.
to. So reach out to him based on those,
Absolutely.
the different formats, and it will also be in the transcript that it will be included with this podcast. So people can reach out to you, and entrepreneurs can reach out to you. And David, everything you
Definitely.
shared today has been amazing. Amazing. I love the passion, the energy that obviously carried on from your past, right? From your dad, from your
Yes.
parents, and so forth,
Yes.
mom, and into now. And you're now exuding that. You're sharing it with other people. And that's amazing. You have a great compass to work with. Just keep on moving forward. And I encourage you, definitely keep that legacy strong, just like you're doing now. And I know your family and your community are very proud of you. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of today's
Absolutely.
Legacypreneur podcast. Before we close out, though, I just want to see, do you have any last words you want to share with all the legacypreneurs out there?
Listen, one of the greatest word that I'll share to everybody that's out there. Number one, Cynthia, thank you. Totally appreciate you for having me on Legacypreneur.
You're welcome.
The first thing is that we went on this journey for a reason. Not a season. We went on it for a reason. It's something that drove you inside, right? And nothing's gonna stop you. Don't ever stop. Long as you could keep your feet moving in front of you, keep going, keep achieving, because what you have to offer others, they are waiting on you. It is that simple. You're the one who's going to make that change. You're the one who's going to create that legacy. You have schools that are waiting to hear from you. You have students that are waiting to hear from you. You have communities that are waiting to hear from you. You have other countries that are waiting to hear from you. Don't hold back. Share the information, and guess what? Share the wealth.
Wow, David, I feel like you're talking to me personally, but I know to all legacypreneurs out there, but that was amazing. And what I take away from that is keep on moving, right? We have to keep those feet moving.
Yes.
So thank you for those positive
Yes.
words. And that's a great closing to today's discussion about legacypreneurs, right? About having that legacy, be an entrepreneur and or an intrapreneur, right? Somebody that works for a corporation or for other individuals that are collaborating. So wow, David, I'm so excited that I had you on today's discussion about legacy. And thank you, thank you. And I know we'll be touching base once again, especially when that ebook comes
Absolutely.
out. I want to be able to highlight that forward. So I appreciate you. So thank you, David, for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate you for having me.
My pleasure.
Right.
So I will sign off as Cynthia Gallardo, your leading legacy lady. And thank you so much for being here today as part of the Legacypreneur podcast. Have a fantastic day and keep those feet moving.